I do believe in affirmations as long as you affirm the truth. You cannot speak it into something. You know, some are trying affirmations, but that's silly. Truth. If you're broke, best thing to affirm is, I am broke. You put that up on the refrigerator. It's called life-changing. If that doesn't do it, put this up there. I live in America and I'm broke. Something is wrong. I've been to college and I'm broke. Something is wrong. See that? If you affirm the truth now, those affirmations are good. Because it's the truth that sets you free. Someone says, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. What if that's not true? Make this note. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. It's not called 6 days of affirmation. It's called 6 days of what? Work. Activity. The activity now is the work part, the labor part. The old formula says 6 days of labor, 1 day of rest. Don't rest too long. The weeds take the garden. But here's what else to remember about the 6 days of labor. They are miracle working days. That's how you turn nothing into something. Labor. But why embrace the work? Why embrace the work? It is because the work builds the city. The work conquers disease. The work builds an office. The work builds a career. The working on good health builds good health. It's the work that builds a relationship. The miracle piece of turning nothing into something is the work. So embrace and look forward to the work that changes nothing into something. Ideas and faith into reality. Wisdom and faith, uninvested in activity, serves no purpose. But wisdom and faith invested in action, activity, creates cities, creates careers, creates fortunes, creates all good and marvelous things that humans can enjoy. The activity, the work, embrace the work. I must come here to be of some value to all of you and do the work. The work of language, the work of words, ideas put in phrases that can be understood, maybe create some enlightenment. So I must come and do the work. One of the greatest steps towards success is self-confidence. And the greatest builder of self-confidence is self-esteem. Doing the things you know you should do so that at the end of the day you have this great satisfaction. The old prophet said, the sleep of a laboring man is sweet. Not the sleep of a goof-off man. Not the sleep of a joker. No. The sleep of one who labors. That's the sleep that's sweet. Feeling good about yourself. Taking advantage of every opportunity. Sharing the story. I would ask you to welcome the disciplines. It's the disciplines that make the creative power of what you think and what you want, what you dream and what you plan. Now the disciplines is what makes those into realities. Don't leave them just hopes and dreams and wishes. Part of the purpose for this extravaganza is to show you how to turn your own reaction, your own excitement, your own enthusiasm into productivity. Activity and productivity. Activity is the work. Activity is the labor. You might add labor pains. I'm short on personal experience here, but the mothers in the room would tell us we know what that's all about. Labor pains. Why would an upcoming potential mother be willing to put herself through maybe a rather painful experience? She said, that's an easy answer. And it's for your notes. It produces new life. Why wouldn't she put herself to the labor? Now comes the miracle of new life. And whether it's new career life or new business life or new friendship life or new married life or new life of any kind, it has to come from the work. It comes from the labor. In fact, labor was so important. Here was the original formula for labor. If you have forgotten it, remind yourself. For your notes, 6 days of labor and what? 1 day of rest. Now it's important not to get those numbers mixed up. Why is that? Here's why. Jot this down now. If you rest too long, the weeds take the garden. Not to think so is naive. As soon as you've planted, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it. So you can't linger too long in the rest mode. You've got to go back to work. 6 days of work, then rest and spirituality and friendship and change of pace. And then go back over the last 6 days. What did I do? What did I miss? Who did I miss? What happened? So that I can invest those corrections in the next 6 days of higher productivity. Have you got that now? 6 days of work, 1 day of rest. Don't get the numbers mixed up. Activity. Now, activity finishes the miracle. Good question for your notes. How did this convention center get here? Let me give you the steps. Number 1, somebody saw it while the property was vacant. You say, well, how could you see a convention center if it isn't here? It's the only way it will be here. And somebody has to see it so clearly they can draw a picture of it, saying, this is the convention center. You say, no, it isn't there. They say, yes, this is the convention center. The artist's rendering shows you a picture of what isn't there. That's the beginning of imagination. So to turn nothing into something, here's what you do. Imagine the possibilities. That's why we recommend testimonials for someone to say, hey, I started with pennies and I made a fortune. And when they finish, sometimes they say something like this. If I can do it, what? You can do it. And we start imagining the possibilities. Here's number 2. Have faith to believe that some of them are possible for you. And both imagination and faith are powerful forces. But we still don't have a hotel. We still don't have a house. Even though those are powerful forces, it is the beginning. Now, imagination and faith must be deposited in activity or it is wasted. But the finishing touch of the miracle process is now, go to work. Go to work and build a better career. Go to work and build good health. You can't have good health without the work. When did we start hearing that phrase? No pain, what? No gain. You got to do the work. You can read all the books until you're wise. You can have faith and believe until it is extraordinary. But now you must go to work. And if you'll learn to appreciate the work that produces the miracle of good health, the miracle of a career, the miracle of a relationship, the miracle of a fortune, only humans now can do this. The birds of the field can't do it. No other life form can imagine and create something from nothing. Have faith and then build it and make it real. Only humans. It's an extraordinary gift. Depends on how often you use it. Imagine the possibilities. It's hard to say imagination is not something. It's just that it's not tangible. Imagination is not, it's not a table, tangible. But it is powerful. Imagination. So imagination, imagine the possibilities. Here's the next step of turning nothing into something. Believe that it's possible for you. A little phrase says, with faith, all things are possible. Without faith, nothing's possible. If there's one thing to pray for, that's probably it. Faith to believe. 1, to imagine. Number 2, faith to believe. What would make us believe? Testimonials? Someone finishes a dramatic testimonial. Here's where I started, when I was 18 years old. Here's where I am today. And then they finish by saying, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Come on. Right? I started just like you. I read the first book. I went to the first class. I made the first decision to start the process of change. That's how we get inspired. 1, to imagine. 2, to believe. Then here's number 3. Go to work and make it real. How to turn nothing into something. That's how this complex of buildings got here. Someone saw them when the property was vacant. You say, well, how can you see something that isn't there? Well, if someone can't see it when it isn't here, it will never be here. And some people can see it so clearly, they could give you the artist's rendering and say to you, this is the building. You say, no, it doesn't exist. Say, yes, it really does. In thought, in mind, in imagination. Then to believe that it's possible for you. Then simply go to work. Now I've put communication in 3 parts because all 3 of these parts now help me make more fortunes. Here's the first one. It's called training. Training is simply showing somebody how to do the business, how to do the job. If you get good at that, the pay is incredible. Whether it's your own enterprise or whether you work for someone else. Training pays Big money. Here's the next one, teaching. And I've divided the two just to make the point. Teaching is more teaching life skills. Teach somebody how to set goals. Teaching leadership. Teaching management. Teaching how to become powerful, gifted, influential. Teaching father skills, mother skills. I've now, the last 15 years, learned grandfather skills. I set a goal when I became a grandfather to be one of the best grandfathers any grandchildren ever had in the whole wide world. I practice it. I think about it. How to use my newfound life as a grandfather and learn every skill possible to dazzle my grandchildren. So teach people how to be good fathers, good grandfathers, good mothers, good leaders in the community. Teach a minister how to teach. Teach a minister how to use the gift of language to persuade. So communication is part of its training, part of its teaching. Here's the best part, though, in the gift of language, and that's learning how to inspire. Inspire simply means a few simple things. Here's number one. Help people to see themselves better than they are. Yes, sometimes we have to help people see themselves as they are. If they've made mistakes, maybe that needs to be pointed out. If a child has messed up, sometimes you've got to say, you've messed up. But don't leave them in the mess. Now transport them into the future with the gift of your language and inspire them with the person they can become by using the mistakes of the past to develop new disciplines for the future. You must transport your children into the future. Yes, you have to take them back to review their mistakes, but don't leave them there. Now transport them into tomorrow. Transport your children into next week. Help them to see themselves 30 days from now, 90 days from now, 6 months from now. Help them to see themselves successful. It's your gift of language that can do that. Help them to have faith for themselves and faith for the future. The sacred writing says this: faith comes by hearing words, good words. Somebody who well chooses their words and delivers them with uniqueness can inspire faith for somebody to believe the most impossible things can be possible. And that excitement of possibilities comes from hearing or reading unique words. Somebody says, you ought, you ought, you ought. Jot this down. Ignore all the you oughts or you should. Only if they're giving general information. We should. It's better to say, if you're teaching, we should. Not you should, we should. Then you let me listen in without it being too confrontational. If everyone did this, see, that'd be great. And then you give a person a chance to choose to do it or not to do it. But when you start the you ought, now see, if I don't, now see, we got some tension and maybe some problems. So you oughts seem to always create problems. When you're talking to your kids, you say, no, if kids would do this, not always saying if you did this, life would be better. But if kids did this, life would be better. It's like making a little talk and letting them listen in. And then it's a little less confrontation. Intensity. Intensity is the emotional part of communication. Communication is both words and emotion. Here's what's really powerful. Words loaded with emotion. See, that's what's unbelievably powerful. It can move nations. It can help people change directions. It can establish an ideology, for good or for bad. Look at Hitler and his ability to preach. Look at Stalin and his ability to preach. Lenin, as wrong as they were, they believed it with all of their heart. Disastrous results, but they put everything they had into it. The emotional content was unbelievable. Powerful. Yes, in an evil direction, but it can also be used for a good direction. This intensity, strength, power, emotion. Words are words. Words are like a little straight pin, right? A guy buys a shirt and it's got all these little pins in it. Little straight pins that you got to take out. What if I took one of those straight pins and I threw it at you and it hit you in the face or the hand? You'd feel it. That's my words that got you, a little straight pin. But what if I took that little straight pin and wired it to the end of an iron bar about this long? And then I let you have it. See, I could drive the pin through your heart. The iron bar is the emotion. The pin is the words. Now here's the craft. And conversation is a craft. Don't get lazy in learning this craft, because it'll serve you so well at home. It'll serve you so well in the marketplace. It'll serve you so well in your career and making your fortune. This craft of communication. Here's the combination. Well-chosen words mixed with measured emotion. Not only do the words have to be well-chosen, the emotion has to be well-measured. Meaning, not too much power for a minor point. It can be so powerful if it's measured well. See, if you had a powerful point and a little bit of emotion, that wouldn't make sense. Nobody would get it. Nobody would say, well, for such a powerful point, it's not a very strong emotion. So then you can't come on too strong with some minor point. You know, sometimes kids have a legitimate objection. They say, you're making too big a deal. And sometimes parents have a tendency to do that, to make a big deal out of a little bitty deal. So here's the key. Make a big deal out of a big deal, and then smaller emotional content on a little minor deal. That's an art. That's a craft. When you go fishing, what do they say? Don't pull too hard, you'll lose the fish. Don't give them too much line. They'll get away. So it's called pull, 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 easy, easy, pull, pull, easy, easy, pull, easy. That's like communication. Strong, but not too strong. Adjust your style to fit the occasion and the emotional content so that it works, so that it makes sense. That when you burst on the scene, it's called for. The point is called for, that much emotion. This is a craft. Don't get lazy here. And the reason I ask you not to get lazy here is because the payoff is so great. Whether it's working on a job or advancing your career or at home with your family or communicating with your spouse. Whatever it is, craft your communications. Be a little more aware. One of the best phrases I could give you for the day, here it is. Don't be lazy in language. Don't be lazy in language, because the gift of language can create a career. It can help somebody see the way into the future. It can help somebody change from who they are to who they would like to be. It will help you to see the gift of your own intellect. There's an innate vocabulary in all of us that helps us to see, helps us to translate what's going on in the world, what's happening, so that we can make good decisions instead of poor ones. We can make less mistakes this year than we made last year. One of the major things to pray for is to be gifted in language, because it can have such a dynamic effect on your children. It can have such a dynamic effect on your business. It can have such a dynamic effect on your customers. It can have such a dynamic effect on your business partners, that not to continually get better and better at the gift of language would be a great mistake. What I give my staff, it goes like this: welcome every human experience. You never know which one is going to turn it all on. Even the bad experiences. Sometimes from the bitterest experience comes the greatest awakening. So let down the barriers, take down the walls. The same wall that keeps out disappointment keeps out happiness. Let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. Here's the last one. This one's powerful. Resolve. Resolve says, I will. Two of the most powerful words in the language. I will. Benjamin Disraeli once said, nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on the extent of its purpose. Shortly put, I'll do it or die. See, that's powerful. That could be the day that turns your life around. The world has a strange way of stepping aside when somebody says, I'll do it or die. The man says, I will climb the mountain. They've told me it's too high, it's too far, it's too rocky, it's too difficult, it's never been done before, but it's my mountain, I will climb it.
Pretty soon you'll see me waving from the top. Or dead on the side, because I ain't coming back. The best definition I ever got from the word resolve came from a little junior high girl in Foster City, California, up north. I'm talking to the junior high kids one day. I love to ask kids definitions. They come up with beauties. I got to the word resolve and I asked, who can tell me what resolve means? And I got several hands, and they were all pretty good, but the last one was the best. Little girl, about 3 rows back, held up her hand. She said, Mr. Rohn, I think I know what resolve means. I said, darling, what do you think it means? She said, I think it means promising yourself you will never give up. I said, that's it. Webster, stand aside. That is the definition. Promise yourself you will never give up. I asked the kids, how long should a baby try to learn how to walk? How long? How long would you give your average baby before you shut him off? How long? See, any mother in the world would say, you're crazy. My baby's going to keep trying until it learns how to walk. What a magic formula. Now let me show you what triggers all emotions into activity that brings results. And results is the name of the game. Here it is. Action. Finally, you must do something about how you feel. Jesus, the master teacher, said, don't just be listeners, be doers. The world admires the doers. Another Bible phrase says, faith without action is useless. Some people these days are big on affirmations. You've got to be very careful of affirmations. There's a thin line between faith and folly. The best clue I can give you on affirmations is this. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. And there's nothing worse than delusion. The guy keeps walking west looking for the sunrise. I mean, delusion is bad. However, affirmation with discipline can bring the most spectacular results. Make sure you always have a game plan to match your wishes. Otherwise, they will always be wishes. The day that turns your life around. Let me give you 4 questions to take home when we're finished. These are called questions to ponder. And this wraps it up. Okay, here's the questions I want you to take home in closing. First question is one of the major questions of the world. Why? Why should you try? Why read that many books? Why go that far? Why earn that much? Why share that much? Why learn all that? Why get up that early? Why put yourself through that much? Why try for all that? Good question. Why? One of the best answers to why is the second question. Why not? What else are you going to do with your life? Why not see how many books you can read, how far you can go, how much you can earn, how many friends you can make, how much personality you can develop, influence you can have, how many things you can accomplish, how far you can go, and what you can see? Why not? You got to stay here till you go. Why not? The third question is, why not you? Why not you? Some people have done the most incredible things with limited start. Why not you? Some people have done so well, they get to go, they get to see it all, they get to do it. They get to be there. They get to have it. They get to enjoy it. Why not you? Why not you watching the morning mist rise over the mountains of Scotland? Someday you got to gaze directly at the Mona Lisa. I can show you where to find the most exquisite seashells in Miami and the Bahamas. I know where they are. Why not you? You got to shop on Fifth Avenue in New York. You got to stay at the Waldorf Astoria. Why not you? You got to drink in an Arizona sunset. You got to see the world. You got to read the books. You've got to do the enterprises. You've got to be involved in commerce and love and travel and experiences. You got to do it all. Why not you? You've got to know the results that come from splendid discipline There's nothing like a view from the top. And the last question is, why not now? Don't postpone your better future any longer. Get at it tomorrow with new vigor. Get you some new books. Ask some new questions. Set some new goals. Get you a new journal. Start your projects book. Get a game plan going. Do some more reading. Start to make changes. Have conversations. Make contact. And do it now. And if you will, I have a feeling one of these days we'll be hearing your story. You'll make us a phone call, write us a letter, get in touch with us and let us know what's happening to you. I want to thank you for being here. My final comment would be ask for God's help, which may sound a little strange coming from a strictly commercial company. We are not a religious order, but if you would allow me a personal word, that would be it. I think humans are unique, but we could all use a little help. But of course, you've got to do your part. That's what we've talked about mainly tonight. Do your part, and I think God will do his part. It's a two-way street. And we do play a part. There's a story about the man who took a rock pile in 2 years, turned it into a fabulous garden. People came from everywhere to see it. One day a guy came by, saw the garden, thought it was fabulous, but he wanted to make sure the gardener didn't take all the credit. So to get his point across, he meets the gardener, shakes his hand, and says, "Mr. Gardener, remember, you and the good Lord together have this beautiful garden here." And the gardener said, "Hey, I understand that. I know what you mean." He said, "If it wasn't for the sunshine and the rain and the miracle of the seed and the soil and the seasons, there would be no garden for sure." But he said, "You know, you should have seen this place a couple of years ago when God had it all by himself." And I think that's true. We do play a part. I'm glad I was not an angel. I think humans have a lot more fun.